So welcome back everyone to another incredible episode of Chat with Dan here. And unfortunately on the show, what can I say? We're starting up the week strong because we're chatting with the incredible, the amazing, the badass, the superstar, the legendary, the one and only Elyse. Elyse, how are you today?
I'm doing great. I've never had such a wonderful introduction before. Thank you very much. I'm happy to be on the show today.
Absolutely. I mean, what better way to have an incredible starting up for the week than to be chatting with someone as badass as you? You know what I mean?
Thank you. You're a badass too.
Thank you. Now, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow, helps a lot. But also in the description below, you're going to find all of Lee's social media. Let's follow her, but also let's discover why she's super badass. Now, without further more, let's jump in. So I want to start this whole conversation by throwing out the first question, which is, what inspired you to pursue music in the first place? Was there a defining moment or artist that made you realize this was your passion?
Since I can remember, I've always had a natural draw to music, everything art, everything self-expression. It's just kind of something I think I was born with. And I guess it wasn't until I saw my mom, who is an at-home, singer-songwriter. She'd just be in the kitchen writing songs, playing her guitar, singing. And I remember at a very young age, I was just a toddler. I remember watching her and thinking, wow, that's pretty cool that you can put your feelings on paper and be able to sing it out like that. And I think having that moment at such a young age, it definitely inspired me to want to do more of that. So I've been writing and singing, dancing since I was little, and then just kind of coming into my own, just finding songs that I resonated with. Between both my parents having influences of rock, country, pop, all of it just kind of shaped me who I am. I always just thought I would love to be able to do something with music one day. I just didn't know I could make a professional career of it until I guess my high school days when I met my very first mentor. So it's interesting where it all came from, but definitely my mom inspired me at a young age.
There you go. I love it. A big start. And tell me, can you tell us about the first song you ever wrote or performed? And how did it feel putting your music out there for the first time?
Yeah, so I guess my songs they started as diary form. I started writing at a really young age, probably at like 5 years old. I wrote my first song, but my very first song that I performed publicly was at a high school competition, singing competition thing that we had going on every year, and I picked the song "I Will Always Love You." Whitney Houston, Dolly Parton wrote that one. I connected with that one at a young age, and none of my peers knew I could sing at that time. So it was really scary at the time to put myself out there, but it felt really good to sing that one. And I just always loved that song. And I think it's really impacted me as a writer and how I use my lyrics as well. And then I guess one of my very first songs that I ever released that was one of my own it was called Nobody's Watching. And it was my very first time going to radio. So just to hear it out there on the radio waves in such a big way when I was just, a teenager and about 16 years old. I recorded it in Nashville, and just to have it out there, it was like, okay, this is a dream that's coming true now.
I like it. That is, I mean, I bet that the whole experience of hearing yourself through radio was like a little bit, I mean, I wouldn't say bizarre, but you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like surreal somehow. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Surreal is the right word for sure. I remember I think it was Martina McBride or somebody was playing, and then my song came on, and I just remember, just jumping up and down and just so excited. It definitely is surreal because I've listened to radio for so long and just listened to the greats on there. And anytime my favorite songs would come on the radio, I get so excited. So just to hear my own, definitely surreal.
That is amazing. And what is your songwriting process like? Do you start with the melody, lyrics, or does it depend on the vibe of the moment?
So I will get random inspiration at different times. So I might be, just walking down the street and get this idea in my head of a melody. So I'll record something quickly on my phone, or if I'm driving, it's usually when I'm not trying that I'll get an idea. So melodies come really easy to me, and I'll just kind of record those quickly on my phone so I don't forget them and I can come back to them later. But when I go into a session, I love to come into the session because I love co-writing and collaborating with other writers. So I usually come into the session with them with a melody idea, a title, and kind of a storyline. And of course, it's up to us as a group if that's the direction we want to go. But that's where I usually like to start, just to have a bit of a form and a direction. That way, it feels more like me when we do shape this song, and it's like when I go into sessions, like what am I feeling today? What kind of story do I want to share? So, yeah, melody, title, and a story direction, and then we usually once we have that, then it's kind of like, do we start with the chorus? Do we start with a verse? And just kind of shape it from there. It's pretty amazing how a song can come together.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I bet. And how do you tap into your emotions when writing a song? Do you ever feel, vulnerable sharing those feelings through your music?
I do at times. I remember when I first started writing with other writers, because as I was saying earlier, my songs kind of started as diary entries, which were super personal. And then when I first started opening up and writing with other collaborators, I found hard to do that at first, but I would say now it comes pretty natural to me. I just go into it thinking we're a bunch of friends. This is going to be a great hang, and if we get a great song out of it, there's no pressure. But if we do, then that would be wonderful. So I've learned to kind of like take the pressure off and just treat it like we're hanging out with friends, and then let the natural emotions kind of come out and see where the song takes me. And being vulnerable, I think it's so important in a song. You have to be vulnerable because that way, if it's something that connects to you and it's real to you, it's going to be real for others. But yeah, it takes time, I think. Just practice putting yourself out there in that way.
Can you walk us through the creation on one of your favorite tracks and what was the inspiration behind it?
Yeah, I would say one of my favorite tracks right now was my song Never Have I Ever. It's been my biggest hit to date. We released this one earlier this year, and it was able to, open so many doors for me, which is so cool. We wrote that song a couple of years ago. I wrote it with my good friend Jason Blaine at his family home in Nashville. And that day after we wrote it, we knew it was a special song, and he put together a demo right on the spot, and I did vocals right on the spot. And he did this guitar line that I just immediately loved. And I was like, okay, that sounds so cool. Like, let's continue to use that line and make that part of the hook of our song. So when people hear the song, they'll know exactly what guitar line I'm talking about. It kind of opens up the song, and then you kind of hear it in the different parts of the song. And so it's interesting how in a writing session we weren't really planning to do that, but it kind of just happened, and then I was like, keep doing that. Like let's really hone in on that. And it became definitely a signature part to the song once I took it to the studio. And I loved it so much. I loved Jason's work so much that I was like, I would love it would be an honor for me to have you on the track, doing guitar solos and background vocals, because that day there was just that magic that we created in the demo. So I was like, I want to bring that into our full production with my producer Dan Swinimer. So we did, and it was great just having that strong bones for the song that Jason created, and that we kind of had that special, writing magic that day. There's something about creating that on the spot and then being able to bring that to the studio so it doesn't get lost. So that's kind of how our process worked for that. And then Dan does his own magic as a producer and just kind of amped everything up and brought it all to life. So I'm so happy with the results, and I was excited about it then, and just now to see how much the fans and radio love it. It means that we were onto something that day. So that's kind of how the process went on that one.
I like it. I mean, it's like the whole thing behind it, like the whole process of yeah, like the whole creativity going on. I find it amazing, when you were able to put together like a group of people and let the whole creativity go, and at the end to be able to create a song that somehow connects with you on it. And I think also, I mean, I would assume that the whole beauty of it as well is whenever you will see people reacting to it, right? The fact that they're giving a meaning to it perhaps might be different to the meaning of of you when you were writing that song specifically, but still, the fact that, I mean, I would assume that it's amazing, being able to do like all of that and to put it to yeah, to put it to everyone who wants to listen to it, basically.
Totally. And I love that as well. Like you just said, is that I could, write the song with my own interpretation, and somebody else might relate to it in their own way. And this song has that double entendre um, behind it, where it's like, never have I ever felt a love like this before, but also Never Have I Ever, as in like a tribute to the drinking game, which is super fun. But I have had people tell me that it resonates to their story in different ways, which has been really cool. I always love that about a song.
Yeah, and I think that's that at the same time, it's the whole beauty, of arts. The fact that they are able to get you to feel something, by someone who you don't know at all, but
Yeah,
but something about it kind of connects with you, and you totally have like that vibe, and you totally um being able to overcome in a specific situation in your life, or you just are having fun and you want to listen a cool song. I think that's the whole beauty of arts, basically.
totally. Just whatever you're going through, there's always a song for it, which is pretty special.
Absolutely. And tell me, like, what has been the most rewarding moment of your career so far? Any performances or collaborations that stand out?
I've had so many amazing moments in the past. I'd say in the past year, my trajectory as an artist, I would say in the last 3 years, I've had some incredible momentum and been able to really build and connect with fans like I never have before. But I would say this past year is when I had some really, I guess, bucket list moments that I've been hoping for a long time. And definitely writing with my peer Jason Blaine was a really neat moment for me a couple of years ago. But then to have that our song chosen as iHeart Future Star, Rogers Radio One to Watch, it ended up being my first hit, top 30 radio here in Canada. And then we decided to take it to Australia, and it flew up the charts, which was so cool to see because I'd never released to them before. So that went to number 6. So just to know that another country is really getting behind it too, and then just seeing all of the response online in different parts of the world. You were saying you're in Mexico. I definitely have a lot of people from Mexico listening to my music too. So this song has really kind of changed my career and is kind of taking me to a whole new chapter in my life that I've never really experienced before, which has been so cool. I won Female Artist of the Year, which was mind-boggling to me and just such a neat moment. And then performing on the award stage. So um, all of these things, it's funny because I've had them on my checklist of hopefully in my future I get to do these things. So now it feels like all of my bucket list moments are starting to come to life, and I still have a lot more. And I'm confident that I'll get there at some point. So those are just a few. But yeah, I would say receiving Female Artist of the Year this year is such an honor. That's one of the highest awards that I think I could receive, and to know that my peers and country music fans believe that and believe in my art means a lot, and it kind of gives me the push to keep going and just to know that it's connecting with people.
That is amazing. So you're basically worldwide at this point.
Yeah, yeah, going worldwide. That's always been a goal. Just I want to keep going international, and we're talking about doing a tour in Australia at some point. I did a performance, I guess it was earlier this year, in Cayman Islands, which was so much fun, and I just would love to, keep doing that, visiting other countries and seeing other places and meeting the fans that are streaming my music.
Mm, I like it. Now I started to figure out why you're badass. I'm starting to get it. That is amazing. And tell me, on the flip side, what has been the most challenging part of your journey as a musician, and how do you overcome creative blocks and or tough times also?
I would say so. Definitely, this career has a lot of highs. It definitely has a lot of lows too. So, I would think that for, I guess across the board, when even I talk to some of my artist friends, I think it's really relatable that we all go through the ups and downs and just trying to find that balance of, um, you know, not allowing the lows to bring us down. I think now more than ever, we're seeing so many independent artists come through, and I'm one of them. I've been able to develop this journey on my own, and I'm definitely looking at expanding and getting a team on board to be able to do more. But I think it just takes a lot of work for an artist to get to a certain level. Just with where the market is these days, I don't think people just get signed like they do anymore. And so there's a lot of work to learn the business, to learn the craft, to become the best version of yourself. It's, as they say, it's 10 plus years of the overnight success for a lot of artists, and I'm definitely one of them. So it's just kind of, I guess, the waiting game, the patience, and the perseverance, the belief in yourself is just to be able to hold that confidence and love for what you do. Um, I guess it's to the public, it can look like it's so much fun, which it is, because I love what I do. I'm so lucky to be able to do what I do. But there's a lot of behind the scenes work and hard times that go on and challenging moments. But I think that that's what makes us stronger, and I'm grateful for all of it. Um, and I wouldn't be the same person I am today because it pushes you outside your comfort zone. It makes you really go inside and figure out like, why do I do this? What is the purpose? What do I want to accomplish? And just really keep focused on that. But it's just balancing out the challenging times and not allowing that to get you down and just keep your laser focus.
Okay. I mean, at the end, it's a journey, right? It's a
Hmm.
process. It's definitely gonna take time. So it's better if you. I mean, of course, it's challenging, but at the end, I think the most healthiest way possible to see things is just to take take your time on it, enjoy that time.
It's so true. I think that's one of the key things. You just said it is just to enjoy the process, enjoy the ride. It's a journey, and I think that's what's so important for artists to know when they're first getting into it, because it feels like when you're doing it, sometimes feels like very lonely, and you think, oh, like this is something I'm going through personally. But once you talk to other artists, you realize, no, this is just part of it. And I think it's so important for artists to talk about it more because if there's anybody else wanting to get into it, I think if we all know that we're all going through the same things and to enjoy the journey, it makes it a lot easier on yourself personally.
There you go. Yeah, totally. And like, how do you balance staying true to your artistic vision while navigating the business side of the music industry?
That is a great question. Um, I just try to remind myself everything that I do. I try to think if I can show up, whether it's in a writing session or it's on stage or even just at networking events, I always remind myself if I can show up as my authentic self and touch people's hearts, then that's my job. That's how I know I'm being authentic to myself, and that's going to shine through in whatever I do. I think it's just important to keep reminding like ourselves of that is that we're good enough as our authentic self because nobody else is like you. And you always find people that resonate with that. But as in like what you're saying is just balancing it with the business. And when I first started, just as a teen, I wanted to just focus, on the creativity. And it was my dad actually that he's owned many businesses, entrepreneur mind, that he would always say, as much as this is art, if you want to do this professionally, you also have to understand the business. So I think it's taking the time to go to conferences, seminars, read books, be open to learning about what the industry actually means and what the business actually means is going to help you to be able to reach more people. And I think as long as you are authentic and you listen to, if you want to be a commercial artist and you want to be a successful business, then you do have to look at the commercial side of it and just see what is doing well on the radio out there. How can I fit within that world, but also find my authentic voice and authentic stories. So it's really I always say it's like wearing two different hats. So it's kind of just being able to do both, and then just always think about when you're releasing, is this true to myself? Do I believe in this? Does this connect to me? And do I feel like I've done all I can do as a business side as well?
Mm, okay. And how do you feel when fans tell you how much your music has impacted their lives? And does that change I mean, yeah, does that change how you create your music?
Um, I don't, well, actually, that's a great question because when I used to play the country clubs before I got to the stages of festivals and these different stages that I've wanted to play for so long, I used to play the country clubs in Ontario, Canada, and beyond. And that was my way of really just honing me as an entertainer. And during that time, it was a lot of university college crowd students. And I would see out of all the different covers I'd be playing and which felt real to me is what songs did they resonate with? And I do think that that helped me in my choices, I would say, as I've moved along into more of an original artist and releasing my own music. I think I always think about them and just think, would they like this? Would this connect to them? And and I think that that's made a big difference. And then just hearing people when I have released a song and I've maybe been a little unsure about it, I'm like, hopefully, I hope this connects to people. And my song Me Too is one of those songs that it kind of created a voice for people that maybe didn't have a voice, and just to have people reach out to me with their stories and just to let me know how much it's impacted them and that they felt like this is a song that they needed in their life. Um, that was a really great feeling. And I think that was one of my first songs that I really had that kind of reaction on. And it really connected where I was like, okay, I understand now the power of words and how that can really connect to someone's story. So I do think about that. I just always think as long as the song connects to me authentically, it's going to connect to other people. And it does seem like sometimes it feels like a risk when you're releasing music where you're like, I hope this lands. But I think as long as you're excited about it and it feels real to you and your story, then it's always going to help people. And that's definitely, when I've done a lot of soul searching of figuring out my why of why I do music is definitely to create music for people that I think is going to be able to bring them joy or empower them or help them in some way. I think that's our job as artists and as creators. I think that we should always keep that in mind because music is powerful.
I'm already speechless. I love it.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. I mean, at the end, as I was saying before, it's the whole beauty of it, right? To be able to impact someone's life by a song you created, and the fact that, I mean, if they are able to overcome any situation they're having at that point, I mean, I think that's amazing. So, yeah.
Totally.
And, if your music were the soundtrack to a movie, what kind of movie would it be? And who would you cast as a lead?
I love that question so much. So one of my favorite movies, when I was just a kid, I watched over and over and over because I always wanted to be a singer, is the movie Selena, and J Lo was playing Selena in the movie, and I just thought this is so beautiful. I mean, it's a very tragic and sad ending, but just to see how kind of how her life story went and how much she touched people was so inspiring to me, and I never forgot it as a kid. Just seeing like how a little girl that came from, just a regular family was able to grow to this point of being able to really touch people and make people so happy. And her music still lives on today, and it's timeless. And I think that is just incredible. So I would love to be able to have a movie that's kind of like that, where it's like I don't know, like based on my story, but created into a cinematic, exciting, movie. And I haven't really figured out who the actress would be for that. I do love Jennifer Lawrence because she's just hilarious and just such a character and so beautiful. But I also love the idea of having a new actress on the scene, like a new creator on the scene that maybe people don't know yet, and just giving them that opportunity, I think would be really cool.
There you go. All right. And what's a fun or unexpected hobby that you have that people wouldn't associate you, yeah, they wouldn't associate with you, sorry, as a musician?
Um, my life definitely is all music. I feel like I don't get a lot of time to do other things, and I always think I need to get another hobby. Um, I love being out in nature. If I could be out in nature, that just makes me so happy. And it could just, be lakeside or going for a walk or going on a trip somewhere. But I guess something that maybe people wouldn't know is that I really enjoy self-development classes or books, things like that. I find it just all very interesting. I find psychology really interesting. So I love to, just learn about how can I make myself a better human, and how can I improve on different things in my life, and how do I get through struggles and challenges. And I just find that really interesting is self development and self help books and things like that.
All right. That is amazing. I mean, at the end, we all have a life, we all have things to do here and there, so I get it. I get it. That is cool.
Totally. And I think as an artist, I think it's important that we do that because it's quite a ride, and it's such a unique life to live. And I think to continue to grow on a large scale, there's a lot more pressure that comes with different things. So I think it's important that we work on ourselves just to keep growing and to show up for ourselves and show up for our fans. So that's always fun. And then I have two cats. I'm like obsessed with my cats.
Thank you. I love it. And how do you see your sound evolving over the next few years? Are there any new genres or even collaborations you would like to explore?
So I have a new song coming out this October, which shows, I say, an edgier side to me in my music, which I haven't been able to show a lot of that yet. So I feel as an artist that I never want to be confined to a box. I definitely have a certain sound, and there's a thread in the kind of messages I like to share. But I always love to be able to kind of experiment a little bit with sounds, and this is definitely like a country rock sort of style. I always say it's kind of like if Hardy, Lainey Wilson, and Morgan Wallen were to create a song together, this is kind of that type of song. So I'm excited to try something new. It was a lot of fun to write, a lot of fun to sing, and I'll be excited to perform it more. And then as I move forward as an artist, I just want to, yeah, just keep continuing to grow, keep um, I guess beating the songs that I wrote last year and just become even stronger as a writer. And I would love to collab with so many people. I think, Post Malone just released an album where he's collaborating with so many amazing artists. That would be a dream for me is to be able to release an album in the future that's just all these collaborations. I think that would be so fun.
Totally. Totally. I like it. Yeah. Okay. And what would you tell to your younger self just starting out in the industry?
I would say good for you for getting into this industry. That's brave because it's not an easy decision to make. But to be in this for the long haul, don't be afraid to keep learning, keep growing, be the best you can at your art. Never take no's for an answer because there will always be no's until you get a yes. And just to keep persevering because perseverance does pay off. And that's true to my story is it's not been overnight. It's the 10 years overnight success and it just takes perseverance, self-belief and just keep growing, keep getting better.
Mm, okay. I love
It
it.
does pay off. It pays off.
Totally. I mean, it takes as we were saying before, right? I mean, it takes time, but when you are making that first step, good for you. So I
Yeah,
like it.
that's the biggest thing is just taking the first step. I think there's a lot of people that will say to me, like, friends that I grew up with or fans or people that I meet along the way, and they'll say, you know, I really admire that you followed your dream and you chose your dream at a young age because I think we're all told like, oh, go to school and follow like a regular 9 to 5 path, and there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But I've had some friends where they're like, I wish that I would have followed my dream. So I always say to people, I think that life is short and you should always follow your dream. And so making that first step, it always seems overwhelming, but if you just make the first step, you just make the second step and you just keep going.
There you go. I like it. You know what? My last question, so we can all enjoy and relax after an incredible chat and discovering why you're super badass. So here it is. What do you think that could be the best title for this episode?
Oh, I love that. Well, I feel like because you're calling me a super badass, which I love. Um, we should call this the Badass Podcast because you're a badass too.
There you go, the Badass Podcast. We have a title. And I mean, at the end, what can I say? You know, the fact that you are doing it, you know, the fact that you're making it happen. And I mean, yeah, I mean, that's one reason just to say why you, you know, to understand why you're super badass. But also, I mean, the fact, as we were saying, you know, that you are somehow impacting people with your music, you know, that you're making, having a like a good time, or if they can somehow overcome a difficult time in their personal lives, you know, the fact that we are able to rely on your music, that's incredible. And especially right now in this crazy times that suddenly, you know, people are just angrier than ever and some weird things happen here and there, you know, the fact that we can rely on your song to have a good time or everything, I mean, that's amazing. So
Thank you. Yeah, I believe that no matter what we're going through, because I agree, the world can get crazy at times. I think that's where music is more important than ever, for sure. It kind of keeps us balanced, and I think music kind of takes us out of the stress or the hard times sometimes in the world. So if we can create shows that help people with that and release songs that help people with that. I always say that music is like a form of church. It brings people together without any specific denomination. It's kind of it's the church is its own form of music that brings people together and helps and heals people in its own way. So I'm grateful that I get to be a part of doing that.
Super sure. That is amazing, and I'm super sure that eventually we're gonna be hearing more and more on from your music, and even more worldwide. We're speaking I mean, we're talking about the whole world basically. That is amazing because I do think that great things happen to those who are honest by heart. I mean, of course, that it's a challenge and it's a journey and everything. But at the end, I mean, I do think that if you're doing it because you love it, because you're honest to it, because you are actually what is the word here? Like you are actually doing it because actually means something for you. You really have like true intentions to it. I mean, I think that is like the right path to it, and you're making it happen. So that's badass.
Thank you. Well, I really appreciate it. And thank you for including me on your show because you're also doing amazing work to help spread the word of artists and music. And I hope that anybody that's listened today has enjoyed it. It's helped in some way. And yeah, and let's keep performing and touch people around the world.
There you go. So I want to thank you so much for making this happen. I also want to thank those who stayed the whole episode. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow, helps a lot. But also, as I was saying at the beginning, on the description below, you're gonna find all of Elyse social media. And now because we discovered why she's super badass, let's make her viral. # Team Elyse. And again, thank you for making this happen. Keep shining out there, keep rocking, and I'll see you in the next one.
Thanks so much, Dan.
All right.